if Brock Purdy turns out to be what they think he is, and the Niners just give up on Trey after 3 starts in 2 seasons, does the success of Brock Purdy cancel out the utter failure of Trey Lance?
Wow. Yeah, I guess. And also it also matters what you get for Trey Lance. Like the Warriors got rid of James Wiseman and they turned him into a 30-year-old injury-prone 2-guard who
Yeah.
doesn't start and comes off the bench and plays half the floor. So
Yeah.
that's going to look really bad. If the Niners trade Trey Lance for the GP2 equivalent, like a 5th-round pick and a 6th-round pick, or a 5th-round pick and a conditional 3rd, and Trey goes and becomes the next Mahomes or whatever, yeah, they're going to look really, really bad on that right there. So I would suggest that if they do move him, since he does have high-end skills, at least potential, and now that he's got to play to realize that potential, but they got to get at least a pick before 40. They either got to get a late 1st or a high 2, and preferably another asset as well. Otherwise, they potentially could look really, really bad on the back end.
Yeah, but if Purdy ends up being like Kurt Warner or Fran Tarkenton or some really special quarterback who goes to Pro Bowls, like I guess it doesn't matter that the Niners just totally wasted 3 first-round picks on a project that they never even really started. I mean, I guess you could look at it that way.
It's amazing. Not to interrupt you, Grant, but it's amazing that Shanahan and his father literally have the exact same situation. His father traded up for RG3, paid a king's ransom to trade up, then drafted Kirk Cousins, watched Cousins become a significant player, and RG3's out of the league. So in a lot of ways, it reminds me exactly of that.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's like, I mean, it's terrible what happened to RG3, but at the same time, you just need one franchise quarterback, and it doesn't matter who it is. So if they're both franchise quarterbacks, but Brock ends up flourishing here and Trey ends up flourishing somewhere else, you still can't really knock the Niners because they got a guy who works for them, and they presumably end up getting something for Trey at the end of this, as opposed to Jimmy.
As long as Trey's not Mahomes. If Trey is Mahomes,
yeah.
Even if because it's also not going to be about just Brock. So let's say Brock wins a Super Bowl with the Niners and is really good and a 10-year starter. That's awesome. But if Trey becomes Mahomes and you got a 5th-round pick, you're going to have to answer for that trade. So I think it's tied to 2 things: Brock's success and whatever they get in return for Trey.
Well, what's interesting is the longer the Niners hold on to Trey, like imagine if they had him on the bench for 3 years, they trade him, he ends up being good. It's like, what were you looking at? For 3 years on the bench in practice, you developed this strong opinion. You moved on without really seeing him in a game, which, Larry, I mean, you're in practice. You see these games. They're like different sports. How do you judge a quarterback in a practice where he's wearing a different colored jersey and you can't touch him? It's like, you can't even call that football. It's basketball on grass. So it'd be interesting if he goes somewhere else and then I'm just like, oh, damn. Turns out he probably should have given him a chance. That's why I feel like it gets complicated with this trade. Is I think deep down they're scared that they're wrong.
Oh, I know. The potential is off the charts,
right,
for Trey, because he's big, he's strong, he's got a strong arm. But there's a couple things, Grant, really 3 things that stand out to me. He airmailed a lot of layup throws in practice this summer. There was a lot of plays where he went through progressions and held the ball in drills where you're supposed to get that ball out. And
in practice, he would fire the check down high and late. It's like
high and late, and then
high
also,
and late, yeah.
And then also there was a number of plays where we're watching, and he's looking around, and he just tucks it and runs. Well, he's not supposed to tuck it and run. All right, so that right there is like not good. But then also,
I mean, he can do it in a game, but in practice, there's no pass rush. You're supposed to like find someone to throw to.
Get rid of the ball.
But,
I mean, the other thing is that he makes one throw over and over and over again. He throws a very hard ball all the time. So there's not a lot of nuance to his throwing right now. Everything's coming out full bore, full bore, full bore. I don't see a lot of touch and timing. And I see a very raw, crude all arm kind of a thrower who has a little bit of a hitch. He doesn't just bring it back and then throw it. He brings it from here to here to here. You know what I mean? So there's a hitch. So if they see a hitch and they say, you know what, veteran defensive backfield coaches are all going to see this hitch, and everybody's going to coach everybody up on this. And 3 weeks after this guy becomes a starter, he's going to be throwing picks left and right because people are going to jump on his hitch. If they see that mechanical flaw that we don't necessarily see, then they may feel like bad football's coming and that this is the good time to trade him before he plays that bad football. So I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of factors here, but I think that there's more here than meets the eye.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. If the Niners do ever move him, I'd like to see who takes on this project and how do they approach him. Like Kyle, when they drafted him, they made it seem like we're going to use him as a quarterback, put him under center, and let him do play action and sort of get him throwing on the run. But that's not really how they used him. They used him as an athlete in the shotgun, running the zone read, and it didn't work, and he got injured. I wonder if he goes somewhere else, is he going to be playing like Jalen Hurts, or is he going to actually be under center playing like a traditional quarterback? Maybe that's the key to unlocking his potential, letting him play quarterback.
And why didn't they let him play quarterback? Did they feel he wasn't going to be able to be accurate in those windows? Did they feel like he wasn't seeing it pre-snap? Was he, is that he can't throw certain patterns? I mean, I'd love
real quick. I thought they let him do it against Houston at the end of 2021, and I thought it looked good in the second half. He's a rookie. He really tore him up in the second half. He never went back to it. I'll never understand it, Larry.
And he gives you a lot of what Brock gives you in the off-schedule stuff because he's got explosive pocket movement and he's got a big arm. But it might just be something as simple, Grant, as they see the two sides and the debate coming, and they want no part of it. Does Kyle Shanahan and John Lynch seem like they want to be? They don't ever say we'd love to be on Hard Knocks. No, they want to keep their stuff private. If they see a gigantic, divisive quarterback battle coming between two quarterbacks that they may like both. That right there could be incentive to make a trade.
Sure, I just think but it's. That circus gets pushed off until Brock comes back. And I think it's probably tough to trade Trey Lance until Brock comes back because John can say whatever he wants and the organization can sound as confident as they want about his recovery. They don't know until it's happened. So maybe you hold on to Trey, especially if you don't get a first-round pick offer. Maybe you'll hold on to Trey until you see that Brock is absolutely recovered. Might be the prudent thing to do, unless someone's offering you the 8th pick in the draft for Trey Lance. In which case, by all means, I don't see it happening.
Or if you feel like there's some quarterback in this draft, the Niners may be somewhat cocky based on the fact that they took Purdy with Mr. Irrelevant pick last year. Maybe they see there's a quarterback that's going to be there clearly at the end of the 3rd round that's projected to go in the 4th or 5th round that they think upside potential is better than Trey, and they like him more than Trey, and they just want to draft that player and move Trey somewhere else. I mean, it's possible. That's all I'm saying.
Could be. Corey Soto says fans can tell themselves whatever they want, but if Purdy is your future, enjoy another 5 years of mid-level play while trophies go to the top quarterbacks. Yeah, Purdy's a great story. He was a Kurt Warner story. Is he a Hall of Fame level quarterback? Is he an all-pro level quarterback? Because it seems like you need it. You need that kind of talent. And I don't know. I don't know. He didn't struggle against the Cowboys, but the offense struggled against the Cowboys. 19 points. It's going to be interesting to see Brock Purdy over an entire season against a more difficult schedule because the Niners did have an easy schedule last year.
Yeah, and I expect once the elbow thing's behind him, you're going to see him progress, get bigger, stronger, more sudden, more, better knowledge of this system. He should get better in several phases in year 2. But obviously the elbow thing could take him back and there could be regression. As long as there's not regression based on the injury, there should be progression based on the experience.
I'd also like to see what would happen to Brock Purdy if Christian McCaffrey weren't on the field. Like, McCaffrey's a huge part of their offense, and he uses them a lot. He throws a lot of short passes, and McCaffrey catches those. Gets a lot of touches. Shanahan has a tough time keeping his running backs healthy. If McCaffrey misses an extended period of time, what happens to Brock and the whole offense? But again, they can find this out before they trade Trey Lance and before they extend Brock Purdy. Like, these are things they'll learn. Thank goodness. They're not like in the situation they were in with Jimmy 5 years ago where they extended him after 5 starts.
I'll say this. If I'm George Kittle and I have any say on it, hell yes, I want Brock Purdy. George Kittle.
He's expressed that.
He was a noticeably better player with Brock Purdy than he was with Jimmy Garoppolo. And so what does that tell you? It tells me that, the quarterback matters, and that if I'm Kittle, I'm doing what I can to make sure that Purdy's the guy.
Yeah, I think he's been doing that. Mark Hope says, love the show. Hey, Grant, can you ask Larry to unblock me? Please, I'm a nice guy. Mark Hope is a nice guy.
All right. I'll unblock you. How do I unblock?
I don't know.
On Twitter?
On Twitter or YouTube?
How to be on YouTube?
I told him I did my end of the bargain. The Chef 93 says Purdy's poor arm strength won't benefit from the injury.
Well, well, you know what? I would say yes, but I just got back from spring training and I interviewed a guy named Keaton Wynn. Grant, this guy threw 92 miles an hour. He tears up his elbow. He has elbow reconstruction surgery. He's throwing 100 miles an hour. He picked up 8 miles an hour as a baseball pitcher on his fastball with the reconstructed elbow.
But Purdy didn't have the reconstruction. He had the repair.
Right.
Should have had that reconstruction. Yeah. That's what I heard. You come back stronger. Sirs 11.
He's Brett Favre. He suddenly Brett Favre.
Yeah. Sirs 11 says Brock is just a mobile Jimmy G and now a weaker arm. So what was the point of drafting Trey? If I was Trey, I would tell them to trade me ASAP. He's better than Jimmy G, I think. I don't think they really have that much in common. I mean, they can operate the offense.
Yeah. Why? Because one guy's 6 feet and change and the other guy's 6'1" and change, or 6'1" and change versus 6'2" and change. They're basically totally different quarterbacks.
Yeah, they're way different.
Jimmy has a much better arm as far as just flick it. He could flick it and release it really quick.
He doesn't move
step into it, but Brock's got ability to. Brock, to me, Grant, looked like a poor man's Russell Wilson. Young Russell Wilson.
Yeah.
Where he's got, especially when he did the little bootleg game and he got the first down, he slid and he put the ball forward. That to finish a game, that was so Russell.
Russell to me though was thicker. I know they list Brock Purdy at 220. I call BS on that. 209er says forever lost some respect the way they wasted Trey. Hey, well, the story isn't over yet. Let's hear what Kyle has to say tomorrow. Seriously, fire Kyle, says Vinny Zone. Doesn't want to hear what Kyle has to say tomorrow. Glass half full guy says, saw today Ryan Hensley said on Twitter Mac Jones was Lynch's guy and Trey was Shanahan's guy. Do you guys buy this after John Lynch's comments today? I mean, I don't have those sources. I believe Ryan, but Lynch has never really talked about Trey like he was the spark plug behind that move. Never really has, in my opinion. But I don't know.
I think Kyle's guy was Zach Wilson. I do.
I actually agree with that, but yeah,
Kyle's
I agree.
Guy was Zach Wilson. I think Lynch's guy was Lance. I think Lynch convinced Kyle and the other scouts to go with Lance over Mac Jones. That's what I think.
Nathan Wardell, thank you very much for becoming a YouTube member. Fish and chips. None of these quarterbacks might be good enough, right? It's possible, absolutely. I mean, the Niners know next to nothing about two of them. Kyle Shanahan's cat says Lynch, Purdy, dad had exact Lynch, Purdy.
Lynch. There's a quote from Lynch.
Purdy, dad had the exact same injury, genetics. Did he? Purdy's dad?
Purdy's dad was a minor league pitcher
Player
for the Giant organization, and he may have had elbow reconstruction. But I don't
Sourdough Sam says, can we trade all 3 quarterbacks for one elite one and a right tackle? We're going to talk about that next. Michael Hamilton says, Kyle's doing Shanna type things. Brock and Trey are both good. Whomever can deliver my Super Bowl trophy has my vote. Shouldn't have drafted Trey if they didn't believe. It's one of the strangest stories of all time. And maybe if they would just improve their offensive line, both of them would succeed. On YouTube, I can't send super stickers to you. He's trying to give you money.
Oh, I got you. I'll unblock you after the show. I'll go in there and I'll find Mark Hope, and I'll say, you know what, Mark? Come on back.
Second chance.